Oh, good morning. The Brother Graham here, doing something a little bit more informal. I wanted to do this with the webcam to make this more like a podcast or radio show. Because in this case, I don't actually have anything to show you. It's going to be purely informational. And if you want to listen to this on your own, please feel free to do so. If you're watching this channel, it's because you're interested in Japan, life in Japan. Today is a beautiful day out there. And I'm looking forward to wrapping this up so I can go out and get out and experience it. But those of you who might know, there's all kinds of video blogs about people, expatriates like myself, who moved out here to Japan and are enjoying life here. For the most part, they come in a variety of different tastes and subject matter, and many of them are quite good. Some of them aren't. You'll be the judge, not me. But for the most part, you'll get a lot of them who are in their 20s, single or couples, or you get the older expatriates doing the video blogs who have lived here for an extremely long time. My situation was a little unique, and I could not find videos or a whole lot of one-stop shop help on the subject that was keeping us from moving here for a very long time. So what I wanted to do was wrap it all up and see if I can give it to you in case there's anybody out there in the same or similar situation that we were in. And it runs like this. If you'd watch the intro to my playlist here, you know we lived in Japan. I moved out here in Japan back in the late 90s. And I lived here for 3 years. Got married while I was here. I met a girl, and we went back to the States for a very long time. Close to, I think, 14 years is how much we lived back in the U.S. During that time, our family grew. We have 2 children, and we always wanted to move back to Japan, but we never made a whole lot of money. And as our children grew, their ages and their school age started to become more and more of a concern for us, because it wasn't just being able to afford to move back to Japan, which eventually obviously we did, but it was about how can we afford to move back to Japan with school-aged children that did not have the language abilities, the Japanese language abilities, to go to school in Japan at their grade level. So after a lot of research, we came up with a few answers, and we came up with answers that are right for ourselves. Hopefully some of these answers might be right for you if you are facing that same kind of a problem. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to break this up into 2 sections. There's the section that I'm going to do right now, which is pretty universal, and then there is another part 2 that I'm going to make right after this that will cover some options that are, to the best of my knowledge, exclusive to American expatriates. I don't know if this applies to other nationalities. I just know about it from my perspective as an American. So if you want to check out part 2, please feel free to do so if you're not from the United States. Maybe you'll get some ideas from it, or compare what we do from the U.S. to what you do from your home country, and hopefully that will help as well. So let's get down to it. The first option is Japanese school, the regular public schools that are around here. Now, you're not going to find a whole lot of people that are bigger critics of traditional education, particularly at the tertiary level, than me. But one thing that I will say that the United States education system does well is its ESL program. Students who speak foreign languages and do not speak English very well are accommodated very, extremely well back in the U.S. Whether it's grade school, high school, it really doesn't matter. Their programs are usually very good, whereas here in Japan, that is not the case. One of the first thing that I have to mention here is there's a middle line for ground zero of difficulty moving here with school-aged children. That middle line is junior high school. Junior high school is the most difficult place to move here with children. And the further away, east or west, high school or grade school that you get, the easier it gets, and the less less difficult it gets. Now, we moved here right at that pivotal point where we have one child in high school and one child in grade school, right outside of that junior high school area. And we did that on purpose. Junior high school is not simple to do. At the grade school level, for example, at a Japanese public school, depending on what grade your child is, they might have to go back one grade in order to relearn some basic language. The difficulty isn't going to be so much speaking the language. You'll be actually very surprised at how well children tend to do that. The problem is reading and writing. Japanese is not easy to do, and to do it at an academic level in school is going to be much, much harder. There are not very good programs here in Japan outside of the heart of Tokyo, Yokohama, or sometimes even Osaka. Those schools may have help for non-Japanese speaking students because they actually get a much greater influx of expats moving into their country there. But in most other places, they're just not going to have this help. Help can be found at what's called cram schools. These are extra schooling, kind of like Sylvan Learning Centers back in the U.S., where they can help you with homework, they can help you with getting grades and getting the points on paper in order to pass through school, but also private language schools will really help out on this a lot. Still, if you're coming out here, give it a year as an adventure. Trying to figure out what might be best for you and your family would really help. And just giving it to them as an adventure, giving to your children as an adventure, is one of the better ways to do it. Now, they're going to learn more tromping around the world, experiencing life as much as they can than they'll probably ever learn in most school classrooms, at least my opinion. For a great video on this, there's one YouTuber named Hannah Garrett who took a video log of her year in Japan spent as an exchange student in high school. She did a great series of videos from before she left and how she got into the exchange program to the day she left to the day she arrived, all the experiences that she had living on her own with host families here in Japan for an entire year, going to school, and then moving back after the school year was over back to the U.S., and what her experiences were like. If you want to get your kids in the mood to perhaps experience this adventure, they'll show them these videos. Go in order, and I think she does a really good job at getting people encouraged and excited about this prospect. So I really highly recommend that, and I'll put that here below. So check out Hannah Garrett's videos. Beyond that, we're going to go into the next section here, which is going to cover international schools in Japan. Moving to Japan with school-age children with international schools is one of the considerations. This is going to be a big one, and I'm going to give it to you in brutal, honest, no-holds-barred terms. And I'm not going to snow you on this the way I've seen it happen on some Google searches that I've done in doing my own research. So check out the next section for international school options in Japan, and I'll see you then.